what we can learn about retirement planning from the IRA. And I'm not talking about individual retirement accounts. I'm talking the IRA, the Irish Republican Army. Now, I'm not an apologist for the IRA, trust me. No, I don't like terrorists. I also don't like big governments moving into people's land and bullying them and taking their property and putting soldiers in their houses and stuff. So I don't like the British government either. So both sides can kiss my big fat behind. That's a fact. Yes, there are examples in the United States where we've done the same thing. That is a fact. So, but anyway, the IRA used to have this saying that they just needed to be right one time to be successful. Margaret Thatcher, on the other time, had to be right 100% of the time. So for 100 attempted assassination attempts, the IRA just need one to go through to take up Maggie Thatcher. So they could be just one luck, 99% failure, but they still won because they took out Maggie Thatcher. Maggie Thatcher had to be right 100% of the time. She could not be right 99% of the time and still win. If she's right 99% of the time, the 1% would still take her out. I always thought that was pretty interesting as a kind of a symbol of when it comes to protecting something, you have to be right every time. You cannot have 1% of a loss. Anyway, so my man Michael Edison has this article, Understanding Fat Tail Returns from Dateline 2021. And I emailed Michael because I was actually looking at an article that I wanted to use in my recent book, and I couldn't find it. So, Michael, you got a repository of where you keep your articles? Because he's written so many and so much good stuff. He doesn't, but he did show me a couple places where we can find the bulk of his stuff. It's okay. So I was just going through his one of these articles he had written. He'd written this in the midst of this stupid pandemic. But anyway, so one of his sayings, so one of the things he says here is, suppose a casino makes the following offer. You bet a sum of money and the casino tosses a fair coin. If the coin comes up heads, the casino gives you a 50% return on your bet. That is, you win $5 for every 10 you bet. But if the coin comes up tails, you lose 40%. That is, you walk away with $6. You lost $4, you walk away with $6. You put $10 at risk, you win, you walk away with $15. You put $10 at risk, you lose, you walk away with $6. This would be stupid of the casino because for every $4 it gains, it gives away $5. All right, this is called an ensemble average. Their return on their bets are negative. They expect a negative return, so they wouldn't do that. All right, so they have a -5 expected rate of return essentially. But it's also a loser for the gambler. What? On average, over time, for every 50% return the gambler gets because a head was tossed, he would also get a 40% negative return because of the sequence of because of throwing tails. Because as the sequence of tosses grows longer, as the sequence of tosses grow longer, the ratio of heads to tails approaches 1. And although he has a 0.5%, a 5% expected rate of return, because if he tosses heads, he gets $5. If he tosses the tails, he loses $4. His expected rate of return is 5%, and the casino's expected rate of return is a -%. That's what we think, but it's not the case. Because the time average return does not equal the ensemble returns. For example, here is a randomly generated sequence of the results of 40 coin tosses. All right? You can see the random right there. 21 times it came up heads, and 19 times it came up tails. So the bettor won 21 times where he lost 19. If the bettor initially bets $10 and lets it ride, he will end up, he says she, but we like to use modern English, Michael. Modern English, we use he's, the proper way to speak. He will actually end up with only about $3, even though he won 21 times and lost 19. See this? Why? How can this possibly be? Gambling against a casino is a zero-sum game. It's not possible that both the gambler and the casino lost, but they did. The gamblers do not lose their 40 toss ensemble average. In fact, they win. If you average the gains and losses of many gamblers in the casino betting on 40 tossers, the gamblers as a whole win. But any one gambler can lose big time. In this case, he does too, because we're starting the sequence of return risk. Tails, tails, tails. So he got 4 straight tails to start his retirement, essentially. And here's my man, Nassim Taleb here, who wrote, apparently knows Michael pretty good. I know that's pretty cool because I like Nassim Taleb. And he had written to Michael here, if I can find it, right here. Nassim Taleb himself, in an invaluable book that he sent me, and I'll mention later, titled Statistical Consequences of Fat Tails, he says, quote, "We can compute the casino's return using the law of large averages, the law of large numbers by taking the average return of the 100 people who gambled. The problem comes when ensemble probability is applied to us as individuals." It's the same with insurance. The insurer doesn't have the same optimization objective as the insured. The insured just wants to make sure their one house doesn't burn down. That's it. The insurer has 100 different houses. You see what I'm saying? So one house burning down won't put the insurer up against the wall. But your house, and you don't have insurance, you're dead. Let's see. That's why insurance works. Not because both the insured and the insurer maximize the expected rate of their wealth, but the insurance company earns a profit precisely by intermediating between the over time concern of its customers and its own financial concern. Again, the insurance has spread out the risk among 100 different houses. Your risk is in your one house. So, anyway, I'm not going to get, there's a lot more in this. It's just a great article, man. And if remind me, I'll put it in the link in the show notes here. But if we think about it, all right, let's go back to the casino example and its offer of a coin toss. In a 40 toss sequence, most bettors lose. In fact, 78% of them do. But on average, they win $60. The average final wealth, combined with their initial $10, comes to $70. However, that number can be estimated empirically by generating many sequences of 40 random coin tosses and averaging the winnings. If you generate 10 million such sequences, your final wealth gives you roughly about $70. But that's the average. That's the average. That's not you. So I was talking to this guy today. Nice guy. We'll call him Sam. Sam's like, I might have to retire. I might be put out. I might have to retire. You know, if my job doesn't work out stuff. He goes, dude, I only got one shot at this. I got to make it right. And that's exactly with retirement planning. That's the whole thing about the stocks for the long run. The thing that bothers me so much is people, stocks for the long run. As Keynes said, in the long run, we're all dead. Stocks for the long run are the average of the returns over many years and many different investors. That's not specific to you. It's just not. You cannot sit there and say stocks for the long run as a definitive strategy for retirement planning. You just can't. Because you could be wiped out before the long run kicks in. This is why I always say the long run never arrives. Because, yes, on average, the market might average 8% a year. Some guy says, it's around 10.33. Oh, my goodness. If you think it's going to be 10.33 going forward, I got nothing to tell you. But let's just say you have expected rate of return of 8%. Historically, you say it should be 10%. I'm going to knock off 200 basis points because of high evaluations, whatever. I'm expecting an 8% rate of return. We know for a fact you do not get 8% each and every year. So some years you're going to get 30, and some years you're going to be down 20. On average, that'll be 8%. If you get the down 20 on the front end of your retirement, just like this right here, 1 second, just like that right there, down 20, down 10, down 9, down 8. I don't care if your average rates of return are 8. You'll run out of money before you can get back to those average rates of return. That's the problem with the stocks for the long run. The stocks for the long run take what you did in 1926 and say what you have in 2023. There's a lot of volatility in the interim. Never mind your inability to sleep at night. Never mind all that stuff. In the long run, you're dead anyway. And like my man Sam said, I can't be Maggie Thatcher only getting success rate of 99%. I need to be a success rate of 100%. So what I told him, I said, man, just dump your money in CDs for the time being. You know, see how things work with your job. See how things work, you know, wherever you're going to be. If the job lays you off and you end up having to downsize, move, something like that, we can always come back and reinvest in stocks. But just, you got to protect the castle on the front end of retirement, man. And now that you get rewarded 4 and 5%, of course, his stupid credit union was only paying like 2. I said, what the hell's wrong with that? Anyway, yeah, this is such a good article, man. The application of this of just how the random sequence of events over time, you can predict like a coin toss that you will win over time. It's the interim. Will you have lost money before you can get those predictions? Will you be Margaret Thatcher on your 99th trip? You're like, man, I'm pretty good. I have 65, 98 assassination attempts. The IRA is saying, oh, we missed 98 times. All we need is this one. They drop a freaking grenade in your lap, and your goose is cooked. Yeah, you're 99% probability of success. It's that 1% of the time that literally blew up your face. We can't have that happen. All right, love your thoughts. Don't forget, Craig Israelson and I will be going on tonight at 8 p.m. on YouTube. If you want a signed copy of my new book, send me an email. I'll charge $20. You can do me a PayPal thing, and I'll send a signed copy of my forthcoming, my soon-to-be super-duper bestseller book. Who knows how to keep it? I was a bestseller for a little bit. I don't know if it still is or not. It doesn't matter because the way they do that's silly, but it might be cool. You might find it of value to have a signed copy from your old buddy Josh. I got to go out there, take my time to go to the mailbox and mail it out, so I ain't going to charge you $20, and the book itself costs like $10. So you won't be getting that cost, but you'll be having the pleasure of knowing that you're supporting me and getting one of my books too. I will see you.